Welcome back to another edition of Tide Talk with Webb. It's getting serious, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting real serious because National Signing Day is next week. So let's jump into it. Okay, Javonte Dean, JUCO defensive back, decommits. I don't know why he decommitted. From what I've been reading, the 24/7 Sports had downgraded him to a 2-star from a 3. They said his sophomore production was not meeting up with his intangibles. So we have that going on. We also had the kicker, the decommitted, but we landed another kicker. Joseph Boulevas, if I'm saying it right, out of Louisiana. He was committed to Georgia Tech. He had come to a Bama kicking camp. He desperately wanted to come to Bama. They never offered him a scholarship. So he went with Georgia Tech, and when we had our kicker decommit, we jumped on him really quick. We got in his good graces. He committed. It's a great pickup for the Tide. I'm telling you, big-time stuff. Mac Jones, QB commit, bonded well with new offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian. He's a lock. Offensive lineman Kendall Randolph, not taking other visits. Good to go. Linebacker Christopher Allen, he said he had a great visit with LSU, but he told 24/7 Sports later in the week he's a lock for the Tide. We have some targets of priority. Todd Harris, we've made him feel like a priority. Hopefully he signs with us. He's a great defensive back. Defensive lineman LeBron Ray, he spoke with Alabama before his other visit this week. We're pretty sure he's a lock with the Tide. I want to give a shout-out to Dylan Moses. He made Parade All-American Player of the Year. He's a Tide lock. Great linebacker. So, hopefully, we've got some of that stuff going on good for us now. So, there's a group. I didn't coin this term. Rodney Orr did, but I totally agree with him. They call them the Super Six. There are 6 great players. LeBron Ray is one of them I just mentioned. We think he's a definite Bama lean. Big-time recruit. We got to have him. Like I said, this recruiting class is big time. We need that defensive line depth. We have to have it. There's no way around it. We have to have these guys. Aubrey Solomon, very talented guy. This guy's a toss-up. He'd go either way. He loves Bama, but USC and Michigan are pushing hard late, and he likes them as well. Saban's going to visit this Thursday, so hopefully that can push him over the edge and go ahead and make him sign with the Tide. Fendarian Mathis, he's a Bama favorite, but LSU and TCU are in the mix. I think he's going to visit TCU later this week. That's something to watch out for. Jerez Parks, we think this guy's a Bama lean. If he comes to Bama, he's going to wind up playing defensive end. He could be a numbers issue. I think he's looking at numbers issue and playing early, but he's somebody to watch. He's on our Super 6 radar that we're really trying to get for Alabama. Henry Ruggs actually is a top priority for Bama. He is a Bama lean. This guy's interesting because he only played 2 years in high school. So he really was unknown. And here lately, this last year, he shot up the recruiting rankings. A lot of people are taking notice of this guy. Devonta Smith is another big target out of Louisiana. We think this guy's a Bama lean, but he is taking a Penn State visit later this week. So hopefully he will not get swayed. Some quick notes, top 4 defensive backs. Out of these 4 defensive backs I'm about to mention, hopefully we can get one of them. I'd like to have 2, but hopefully we can get one of them. I know we're pressing all 4 of them hard. Tyreek Fields, C.J. Henderson, Amir Speed, and Castro Fields. Keep an eye out for those names because I got a feeling we're going to sign one of those guys. Talk to my sources. I got some sources down the Red Elephant Club. I have to call my source, Harvey Webb, a.k.a. Bop to his grandkids. He's got some insider sources, and they're usually not wrong. From what these sources are saying, the Red Elephant Club, Ray, Smith, Riggs, and Parks are solid. They will sign with the Tide. You heard it here first. They will sign with the Tide. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and predict it. They're going to sign with the Tide. Solomon and Mathis, big-time toss-ups. We're not really sure how it's going to go with them. Hopefully they do sign, but we'll see. But the Super 6, we really need 5 of those Super 6 that I mentioned earlier. That's a big, big thing for the Tide. Okay, real quick. A lot of people are saying that the sky is falling. I know I had talked about this with some depth on the defensive backs last podcast. But I'm going to go ahead and fill you in why the sky is not falling. The NFL and transfers and graduation have a big thing to do with why people think, oh my God, the depth on the defensive line, we're not going to be good, and the secondary is not going to be good. That's what a lot of people are claiming. That's what a lot of people and naysayers are claiming. Even I kind of thought that a little bit. But after I read some articles and did some research, we got a lot of guys coming back. guys. We have Deron Payne, we have Sean Dion Hamilton, we have Josh Frazier, Anthony Jennings, Raekwon Davis, Christian Miller. I mean, these guys played a whole hell of a lot this year and did great. They're going to be the ones starting. I have full confidence in these guys. I don't think there's going to be a massive drop-off in talent or depth. I really don't. And if we lock up all these recruits that I'm saying we're going to get, there is going to be no problem, like at all. A lot of people say, well, the secondary is going to be hurt. I don't think so. I just think it's going to be names that we just didn't hear all the time because they didn't start. You know, I mean, I think that we're going to be okay. We have a lot of guys, like I mentioned before. We have Everett. We have Fitzpatrick. You know, we have a lot of those guys. We have Brown coming back. Those guys played great. You know, they really did. And here's one kid that I think can come in. I'm going to go ahead and give you a pigskin prognostication about this kid. His name is Xavier McKinney. He's 6'1", 196. This guy can play corner. He can also play safety. This kid is awesome. He can play a cover 4 and a cover 3 like nobody's business. Go watch his high school films and tell me I'm wrong, please. He literally, I think, can literally be a hard hitter. Somebody will knock you out like Ha Ha Clinton Dix or Mark Barron. You heard it here first. Watch out for that kid. It's a kid you're going to be hearing from a lot in the future. One guy that I want to give a shout out to that a lot of people at the Senior Bowl and a lot of NFL scouts are giving a shout out to, Ryan Anderson. They said he's been absolutely stunning. A lot of these NFL personnel are really liking this kid. They say he's like a film hawk. He's always in the film room. He's always asking questions. He's a guy that was kind of underrated because of Jonathan Allen and Ruben Foster's accomplishments this year. You didn't hear his name a lot, but he was steady. He was very consistent. Even Phil Savage is praising this guy. He's having a very strong year. I think he's really going to showboat and showcase his talent in the Senior Bowl. So just think about it. And, you know, I know a lot of people say, Ryan Anderson, we didn't hear his name a lot. You know, what did he really do? Well, he had 19 tackles for a loss. He forced 4 fumbles. He was a very big-time disruptive force the beginning to the end of the season. And he also supplied 3 of Alabama's 4 takeaways this season. Now, his most noticeable being in the game against Washington in the playoff game. He had a 26-yard return for a touchdown against Washington. So, you know, that was big. That potentially could have been that was probably the final nail in the coffin of Washington. He's a super, super smart player. And usually in his regular role or his role in a nickel. He can do coverage. He can do just like about anything. And I think he's going to be a big pickup. I'm predicting late 3rd, early 4th. But whoever gets him is going to get a very, very good linebacker. They're predicting him to play linebacker in a 3-4 outside kind of a scheme. So, but you know, I'm really rooting for this kid. I think he's going to do great. I just think he wasn't as highlighted because of some of the other players he was playing behind. Okay, let's look at some of the underrated players for the Tide. And I know everybody says, well, you know, you got to have all these awesome players to win championships. True, but there's also a lot of 3-stars that we probably forgot about that made such a big impact for the Tide, like Terrence Cody. He anchored that defensive line that won the 2009 championship. You know, he came in from I think he was a 2-star by most services, and he was really overweight. When he came to Alabama, he was like 400 pounds, and everybody said he's fat and lazy, he won't do anything. Well, he was absolutely amazing. Also, think about it. Tommy Tuberville made a living on 3-star players. How long, you know, his whole career at Auburn, he made a living on 3-star players. I mean, let's look at some of these totals here. Since Alabama has had Nick Saban, out of a total of 107 recruits received less than a 4-star rating since Saban arrived 10 years ago. Of that group, 31 went on to become starters and 18 were drafted or played in the NFL. There were 50 Saban recruits who were unanimous 3-star players. 13 of those players went on full-time starters for the Crimson, and 6 were drafted and played in the NFL. That's pretty good numbers. You know, and don't forget players like David Johnson, who nobody knew where he came from. He came from NIU, and dominating. I mean, they said Mark Ingram, for instance, most services had him as a low 3-star, and 3-star player, some had him as a 4-star, and they said he was just slow. He wouldn't play and probably wouldn't be fast enough for the SEC. Another big star that we all know who's actually going to be playing the Super Bowl, Mark Barron, was a low-rated 4-star. A lot of people said he came out of a small area out of Tennessee and he wouldn't be that good and would probably just spend his whole career as a backup at Alabama. So we got to remember that. even the case, the curious case of Eddie Jackson. He, a lot of people was like, oh, well, he probably won't play. He played a whole lot, and that's a joke. I mean, he was a track star kid. He wasn't highly recruited, and he was a great pickup for the Tide. He was super fast. Coming out of Fort Lauderdale, but nobody really knew who this kid was. And he was an amazing, amazing, amazing recruit. I mean, really, and he was, like I said, he was one of the underrated top safeties of his high school class when he came out. So, you just got to remember, just because he's a 3-star doesn't mean a whole lot. Anthony Everett was another kid. He came out of New Jersey. He was a track kid, but didn't play a lot of football, and nobody knew him, and he's going to be starting for the Tide next year, and he'll probably get drafted. Josh Jacobs is another one of those guys who nobody knew who the hell he was. He was a 3-star. He came out of some no-name school out of Oklahoma, and, yeah, he's the number 2 running back for the Tide. He beat out B.J. Emmons. B.J. Emmons was supposed to be the second coming of Mark Ingram. He beat him out. Jacobs had 585 yards and 85 carries, 4th best on the team. Amazing. So, just because he has a 3-star in front of his name, we shouldn't count him out, guys. Last but not least, let's talk about O.J. Howard. A lot of people are high on this guy. He's going to the Senior Bowl. He's going to be playing. A lot of people are saying that him and Ingram out of Ole Miss are going to be some of the best tight ends and game changers out of this NFL draft. I think he's going to go high. Through 7 games, he only had 14 catches and 209 yards and 1 touchdown. But he was underused, and we had a new quarterback. Our new quarterback was settling in. He's getting better at throwing. So we didn't utilize him as much as we thought we were going to. But this guy, to me, is like a Shannon Sharp. I think he's going to be absolutely, absolutely amazing in the NFL, as with Ingram. But he's getting a lot of love from all these NFL scouts. I mean, he's 6'6", 240, ran the 40-yard dash in a 4.6. I think potentially he could do faster, but that's blazing for a tight end. I mean, he's a mismatch nightmare for most linebackers, even in the NFL. So I think this kid is going to go far and do great things. But anyway, that's my edition of Tide Talk with Webb. Love you guys. Please comment if you want to. Give me some tips or anything I can improve on. And love y'all, and God bless.